Hi, Lawrence James here, and welcome to my channel. Now, I got a bit of a personal story to start off this video. See, my last relationship started like really good coffee. Instant. It was intense, addictive. See, we met online, and from there, things moved very, very quickly. We moved in together quickly. We were going on holiday together really quickly. There were expensive gifts, acts of service, and we were in constant communication. And I mean constant. But it wasn't love brewing. It was a trauma bond. And it won't come as a surprise to you either what happens next. You crash. Just like caffeine. When you don't have it, you start to get withdrawal symptoms when they're not around. Jittery when they don't text you back. You start to neglect yourself, your self-care. You stop going to the gym. You stop eating properly. You stop sleeping properly. And if you're not careful, you go round and round and round in cycles of abuse. See, they may be hooked on the attention they get from you, but you're hooked on them. It's a weird thing being addicted to another person, but here we are. So I wanted to make this video to go through what trauma is, what a trauma bond is, and how to break it. But okay, why would you want to listen to me? I'm not a doctor, I'm not an official psychologist, but in 2016, I did marry a young woman who was raised in a cult. I then spent 3 years in a toxic relationship, and for the 7 years after, I spent studying and recovering from narcissistic abuse. And that's why I created this channel, to help you do the same. Right, so let's get going. First, let's go over what trauma is. Trauma is this emotional response we get from an event or a series of events that we find very stressful or very frightening at a time that we couldn't cope with it. And often these are times that are not in our control. Usually it's times when we're very little, when we're kids, that we felt humiliated or terrified, abandoned, rejected, unsafe, or otherwise just powerless. And these events can leave kind of like an imprint in our psyche that will then stay with us well into our adult life. And if we don't process these events, then it shows up unconsciously in what we think, in what we feel, and ultimately what we do. Now, this imprint is going to make you crave the opposite of those feelings that we felt. Safety, love, acceptance, escape, or power. Now, narcissists are great at seeming like they tick all of these boxes. They present the perfect image at the start of their relationships, and to you, it feels like you found the one, the perfect partner, that like everything you could have ever dreamed of, because you're craving these things. See, people in this situation often feel that their partner completes them, or it's their other half, or that their partner, or that they're nothing without them. This isn't a loving relationship between two adults who are whole and one in and of themselves. I like to think of it as two adults on separate paths, but just going in the same direction. Whereas toxic relationships aren't like that at all. They're not about mutual partnership. They're about care and dependency, and almost using each other like a crutch, almost merging into a single unit. The problem with that is that it causes you to cling. And ultimately, that's what the trauma bond actually is. It's this sense of attachment that's based on this need to be cared for. And the thing is, when the relationship ultimately ends, the bond is still there. The feelings are still there. Now, there's no silver bullet for breaking it. Unfortunately, I wish there was, but it's complicated. Anybody online telling you that there's some process you can follow to break a trauma bond is lying to you, or they don't know what they're talking about. I can only tell you a few things that have been working for me. And the most important thing is to treat it like an addiction, starting with awareness. You can't beat an addiction if you don't admit to yourself that you have one. You have an addiction to another person. And that relationship was built on trauma, not love. Most of us don't have the skills to be able to navigate those experiences either, but don't sweat it. We're not taught this stuff growing up at all. So you can go to the Junto Institute and download yourself an emotion wheel. I like to think of emotions like lights on a car dashboard. They're really helpful at telling you what's wrong, but only if you can understand what the little icons mean. So this is what that chart's going to do. It's going to help you understand what the little emotional icons mean in your internal dashboard, and hopefully help you understand what might be wrong at any given time. Second thing is addictions need distance. I always say narcissists are kind of like nukes. You can't get rid of that radiation if you're still in the fallout zone. So you've got to put some serious distance between you and the nuclear meltdown, okay? And it's kind of the same with all addictions, really. You have to identify and remove those triggers. And if we're dealing with a toxic relationship, then I'll tell you now, they are one of the triggers. So put as much distance between you as you can. And lastly, you need to re-regulate your nervous system. Now, this is the really hard bit, and this is still something that I'm working through myself, because the time that you spend in a toxic environment is time spent in what's called a hyper-vigilized state. It's a fancy word, but it's another way of saying 24/7 danger zone. It's where your internal alarm systems are constantly scanning for threats. You don't know if you're going to wake up in the morning and have a pretty peaceful day, or whether you're going to have to deal with a meltdown and sleep on the sofa after an argument until 2 o'clock in the morning. You don't know. So you're constantly scanning for these threats. And after a while, your scanners get totally fried. And what this is going to feel like after you come out of the relationship is that some things are going to invoke overwhelming feelings of fear, overwhelming feelings of grief, guilt, shame, humiliation. And until you recalibrate your senses, then it's going to keep pushing you into this fight or flight mode, which is another way of saying out of control. And if you're pushed out of control, you're likely going to be pushed into someone else's. I hope you find that helpful. If you did, please go ahead and hit the like button. If you like this video, do subscribe to get some more in time. Until then, look after yourself, live by design, not by default, and I hope to speak to you very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.